Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing? Looks as if we are set up and good to go. So, with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is May 18th, 2021. And let's go ahead and get right into it. So, looking at our SPY, we had a very simple inside day yesterday. Still sitting slightly below our 20-day period moving average. And essentially what we can be anticipating today is the likelihood of additional volatility. We know that a break in either direction will lead to more adjustment of positional risk in the markets. And we see that overall the SPY is trying to decide maybe to facilitate a remainder of this gap fill, which has a little bit of price left to go, or in the opposite case, a breakdown and coming back to potentially risk and test some of the lower levels that we saw during the volatility last week. Now, in our shorter time frame perspectives, we do see that some of the moving averages on the 4-hour are starting to play catch up with price. We saw a nice attempt to hold the 200 period moving average on the 4-hour based on yesterday's price action. And that was more facilitated during the afternoon session where the market finally was able to catch a bid and move slightly higher. We also see that the market is forming a fairly clear level of resistance. Any breakout of this area could facilitate more buyers stepping in, pushing price higher. At that point, we'd be looking at some of the recent reactions that we've had, whether it be some of this false breakout that we saw amidst a lot of consolidation of a range, or this buying climax that we saw here, which led to the significant precipitous drop in the SPY. So either way, based on yesterday's price action and some of the price action in pre-market, we have some very clear and actually relatively close price levels to keep on watch. A move in either direction against those levels and a breaking and testing of those levels could lead us to set up some more trade ideas and opportunities depending on which direction we choose. As we look at our QQQ, we see that similar to what we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks, the tech and specifically the NASDAQ index and sectors are not necessarily in the same spot in the chart, and therefore we have to give them enough time to really confirm whether or not they want to continue moving higher, or is this a more significant drop within this larger trading range that we have today. Similar to the SPY inside day, but more volatile, we did see a potential loss of the previous trading session low. And given that we're sitting below the 50, we're actually looking for a clearing of the 50 period moving average to maybe bring in more momentum and confirm a breakout of this downtrend that is now on the chart. As we zoom into shorter time frames, we see, similar to the SPY, but not necessarily using the same indicators. We have a bounce point that was set yesterday off of the 20 period moving average on the 4-hour. And then we have our clear areas of resistance based on previous price action, where we had our trend line low. We saw a nice reaction off of that low, clearing a lot of this downtrend and potentially setting a low for a reversal. We also have the potential for this head and shoulders to form. And regardless of if we clear the horizontal level or this sort of slanted resistance level, we're looking for this downtrend to essentially change course. If it cannot do that, we will be essentially saying that this is a failed reversal attempt, and a clearing of this level could lead us back to this recent low, which we're using as a guidepost for now. So the QQQ continues to be an area that needs to be proven for the bulls. We're seeing some signs of life, especially in the formation of the pattern so far, and some of the climactic volume that we did see during the potential low that was set. But overall, our targets need to remain relatively conservative to the upside, as we have lost a lot of momentum. And we also need to be aware that a failure of these reversal patterns can facilitate more downside, at the very least another test of some of these recent lows. And finally, looking at our IWM, we have this trading range that we still remain within. I'll actually move this for now, and we'll talk about that shortly. But IWM is in a precarious situation. We see that this trend line was able to hold. We were able to get at least a short-term recovery bounce off of this trend line. But overall, structure here is starting to deteriorate against this trading range. We see on the shorter time frames, 4 hours specifically, we have the potential for the 200 period moving average acting as resistance, with the same sort of notable intraday reaction that we saw in the SPY and the Qs. Now, what's interesting about this is the reaction so far has been stronger. We've gotten a clearing of the previous swing high, and we're coming into what is normally an area of resistance, but the reaction has been stronger. So similar to the Qs, we have this inverse head and shoulder, and the market is simply trying to prove that it can clear this area and facilitate higher prices. Ultimately, if you're in a more aggressive buyer, you were looking at this trend line and saying you're willing to step in to this selling and trust that the market is going to react against you, that the imbalance of supply and demand was there. And if you're a more conservative buyer, you're looking at things like this potential right shoulder, along with a breaking of this level to lead to the momentum back to the upside. So regardless of what type of buyer and or seller you're looking to be, there's opportunity within this structure regardless of what happens. What we're simply waiting on is confirmation of a breaking of the pattern, and also whether or not that break is facilitated by retesting or momentum and volume in the direction of the breakout or breakdown. So our normal procedure of just looking to see where is opportunity. Are we at the right points in the chart? Are we seeing the right signals against or for the trend? And overall, allowing the market generated information to tell us which way they want to take the price. Some things to continue to keep on watch from yesterday. We saw some nice momentum in the metals. We've been continuing to discuss metals. You'll see a lot more enthusiasm and I would say talking and discussion about the metals as they are starting to break out. We see that silver had a nice clearing of some previous trading range resistance. We're getting above this area on this breakout. And we're seeing something similar in gold, where we're able to clear this channel, and we're seeing elevated volume as we lead into this channel breakout. So overall, the structure here is facilitating the thesis that metals may be on their way to a new sort of phase in their cycle. This downtrend may be starting to end, and this may be an accumulation phase or a correction phase into another markup phase, which once again we'll talk about in just a moment. So some interesting structure here. We certainly want to see if there's any warning signs that this is a false breakout. And so far so good when it comes to things like the dollar. Ultimately, the dollar has continued to decline over time. We've seen a lot of these intermediate structures fail to hold as support. And overall, the trend is still in the downward direction. So far, I would say that a break of this previous low is going to really generate the potential for more downside, as we are not only losing a lot of the current year's price action in terms of price levels, but also losing some historical accumulation of the dollar, which led into a markup phase, a breakout, and some upward trending continuation in the dollar. But losing this area, specifically on a high volume event and a retest, which we can look at through some other products whenever that time comes, we would simply zoom out and say, you know, where can we target the dollar next if we were to break down from the spot? I would say things like monthly and weekly charts are going to be the place to go, as this is a major structure breakdown, and the overall downtrend would continue as this was simply just a correction in the downtrend. So far so good. Dollar is looking correct. Gold and silver are looking correct in their correlation to the dollar. We're seeing risk off assets like the TLT and the TNX continue to do what they've been doing, which is, with some of the inflationary concerns and the fact that investors may not find these products attractive, we're seeing just a general decline or a lack of overall interest. And we will simply keep this on watch, as this range is fairly well defined. We simply don't want to step in too early during an accumulation phase, or necessarily step in into a phase that may simply be another correction on the way to another downtrend extension. So natural gas and crude, specifically crude, really starting to press against this downtrend line in the short term. I'm still looking at crude as one of those reflationary opportunities. We could see things like energy and gasoline, crude prices start to climb with some of the overall economic pressures that are occurring. And we're simply seeing some of those reactions occur within these markets. Natural gas specifically is of great interest to me due to some of the current price action we've seen, and simply how we are starting to really clear some of this monthly downtrend that we've had for a period of about 16 to 17 years. You know, overall, if this structure is to start to break out and this accumulation phase is ending, this is going to potentially lead to a very large change in the phases of this market and the cycle of how this market could continue moving forward. So what I'd like to change course on and discuss very briefly during today's session is more about these market phases and how we are looking at things through typically short time frame lenses. We're seeing opportunities occur, whether it be through support and resistance on daily, 4-hour, or even weekly time frames. And we're using these opportunities as traders to sort of step into an existing trend, sort of ride that momentum back to test upper resistance zones, or in the case of a general uptrend, actually look for higher prices. And what is interesting about this current market is that that has been a very successful strategy for a lot of traders in 2020, as we've had some of the quickest changes in market phases ever seen with the COVID crash, the sort of economic recession that maybe is forming or may have already completed. But the way that the current market reacted to that crash and the fact that the phases changed so quickly on the recovery, we saw very little in the way of accumulation in the lower ranges. And we simply saw a lot of markup in things like technology, consumer discretionaries, and even now after the election has ended, we're seeing new markup phases in things like financials, energy, industrials, etc. So what makes this so interesting is we know that certain sectors have been outperforming. We know certain sectors as of late have maybe not been outperforming. We've had periods of highs and lows, but overall the price action and the trading ranges in those areas has been flat. We haven't seen the same sort of continuation that we saw in recent history. And when it comes to some of these markets, we want to be aware of what sort of phase we may be in. We talk about markup phases, which are, in the very simple sense, a market that is in a general uptrend. You will see higher highs, you will see higher lows, you will see things like dynamic support, moving averages, an uptrend line, or just a general supply and demand zone that creates a channel leading to that price starting to be marked up and moving to the upside. And obviously in the opposite direction, marked down phases where usually the market phase has ended. There is some sort of topping action, which we'll discuss in just a moment. And that markdown phase of distribution, the distribution phase leading to a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows, pretty much the exact opposite of the markup phase, albeit typically preceded with more volatility and usually sort of an imbalance, a larger imbalance of buyers and sellers leading to larger intraday or weekly time ranges. So those two phases are typically easy to spot. You'll see things like those dynamic supports and dynamic resistances, those trend lines really clear on the chart, and things are, for the most part, I would say simple to trade. There's a very basic strategy of buying certain dips or selling certain rips. And for the most part, you are rewarded as a trader to do so. You simply have a well-defined risk level that you're looking to step back into the market. You're looking to sell into the extension of the move. And if you're early to this process, you're actually holding core positions as you are part of the accumulation phase, or potentially the breakout of that accumulation and the start of the market. So you're riding momentum. Now, how do these phases change and how do they end? Typically, they will end in something called, in the case of a markup phase, they will end in some sort of distribution phase. So after the markup phase is starting to end, the structure of the charts will start to change. The supply and demand imbalances will change. And there are some early signs that we're starting to enter into those distribution phases based on some key concepts. You'll hear things like Richard Wyckoff be mentioned very often, as he is one of the pioneers of these market cycles and phases. And he helped define some of these key concepts within each of the phases. Specifically for distribution, you will have things such as, and we will use Apple as an example because it is possible that we are in one of these phases with Apple. You will see things like preliminary supply, where you finally see buyers and sellers starting to battle more and more as supply is starting to enter this market and the demand is starting to either decrease or not meet that supply. You will see things like a buying climax, where the market essentially goes well beyond that preliminary supply, leading to a very significant level, something that's very obvious typically within the charts, and that buying climax is usually accompanied by elevated volume. From that climax, you get things like an automatic reaction or a facilitation of the preliminary trading range. So you get your high, you get your low, and then from there, you have a range that is set, and from there, you're looking for aspects of the distribution phase to show themselves within the range. And without going into additional detail, distribution phases have other micro phases within them, where things like the buying climax may be tested. There's usually a secondary test, and on this test, from the reaction, we see a decline in volume. It's showing that the demand is no longer facilitative of new supply in this range. We also see things like our trend lines starting to be tested, usually after the buying climax, as this is sort of the beginning of a change in phase, and therefore we are usually far removed from our trend line. The demand exists within our trend line on the markup phase, and the supply wants to be far away from that, essentially to get the best price as a seller and as a buyer, in both cases. There are concepts like a final upthrust or even multiple upthrusts, which essentially look like a continuation of the markup phase, but are actually more facilitative of retail-based traps. It looks as if prices are going to continue in the trending direction, but a failure of this, specifically on the right volume signals, leads to a significant decline back into the trading range, and usually somewhere close to that automatic reaction or some of the secondary test reactions. So as this distribution continues, things will start to shift into essentially buyers and sellers starting to win and lose. I think I said that incorrectly. Buyers and sellers starting to lose and win respectively in this shorter term time frame. The distribution will continue. You will see things like failures to even get to midpoints of the trading range. And this is showing the lack of conviction and the lack of demand in this distribution range, as certain market participants are simply tired, exhausted. They don't have the same energy and risk criteria to facilitate a move higher. Now, obviously, I've looked at Apple as a potential example. We have not seen Apple's chart, and specifically price, finish a distribution phase. And one of the most challenging things about this is, as we are unsure of whether or not this is distribution, we are looking to see whether or not this can lead into a new markup phase. Will buyers and sellers get to the point where the sellers simply have exhausted their supply and new buying demand re-enters the market as this becomes a now corrective phase in the markup itself? Time will, of course, tell whether or not that is going to occur. But the reason I bring this up, and the reason doing this analysis can be so rewarding as a trader or even as an investor, someone who is looking to protect or at the very least potentially profit from a successful accumulation to markup to distribution phase, you do not necessarily want to be involved as a long investor during a markdown phase. It is one of the most challenging aspects of being a market participant, specifically a long one, as a lot of our support and resistance criteria starts to fall apart as we come back down and look for new accumulation phases to lead us back into sort of that uptrend of the overall market. So I bring up Apple. I bring up things like semiconductors, which I'm using SMH for. We have that same structure where we have preliminary supply met with buying climaxes, and specifically an automatic reaction that occurred deeper than some of our previous swing lows. We've set this trading range, and we see even things like the tests not necessarily leading to upward thrusts. So we're not necessarily even trying to trap retail traders. The demand here is actually facilitative, not facilitative enough to meet the supply demands. And this led to this downside move pretty close to, if not exactly back to, this auto reaction and setting this very large distribution range. So semiconductors is looking similar. It has the same basic qualities. And finally, the one that I'm sure most people are interested in is things like crypto, specifically Bitcoin. We see the same types of reactions and the same qualities as we have things like buying climaxes, preliminary supply, and even if I bring on simple indicators, things like RSI, which we have discussed in the past briefly, usually these distribution phases are met with your divergences inside of momentum or overall price correction based indicators, where you have things like higher highs, but not necessarily higher highs inside of these indicators showing the strength of the impulse moves to the upside. This lack of conviction leads us to these buying climaxes, these auto reactions, and essentially can change the course of the structure of this market. And ultimately will change the tone, which we discussed yesterday, of how we need to respect stepping into certain buying opportunities and also sort of the targets that we're looking to achieve in the short term. So obviously this is not meant as a way to scare anyone into thinking that the fun is over in this market. We have other areas to consider that may still be in their markup phases. This is why I put such an emphasis on financials, which continue to show at the very least short-term opportunities to catch trends and to utilize simple indicators to find those opportunities. This is why I look at energy, which, while we did have a significant correction, so far we have seen potential for this to continue. What we want to be sure of is this not, or to make sure of is that this is not the upward thrust. We want to make sure that there is conviction here, and we want to see that conviction met with our trends continuing. XLI, very similar, simply different sectors to focus on, different areas of the market that may provide better opportunity, both long, and then simply looking at the other markets, whether they be distributive or markdown, and using those phases to step into the price action in both the correct direction and with the correct risk and reward tolerances. As traders, this is super important to understand, not only because it can keep you out of trouble, but if you're interested in trading certain markets, You need to know what phase you expect them to be in based on previous price action, and use that phase to understand where to define your risk and what your expectation is after those directional changes or just those range bound trading opportunities facilitate themselves. What can you expect as a trader versus what actually occurs? So with that said, that's my Tuesday lecture. I wanted to bring something a little different to this pre-market show, simply because the markets are changing. And when we see these changes, we want to note them, we want to monitor them, and if they trigger correctly, we want to take advantage of those triggers and trust that we understand our analysis to lead us to the right reward as a trader, as an investor, or even just to protect ourselves in the case of significant downside corrections. So my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Trade safe out there. We'll look for some more intraday and other opportunities tomorrow, and stay tuned for pre-market prep with Carlos and Norm.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. I hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I'm doing well. Hope you are too.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Excellent. All right, guys. Welcome. Let's look at what we had yesterday. Some of the top plays and highlights for the day, starting with Apple. So let's get our 5-minute chart in here. We'll look at about 6 that we had on my watch list at least. Again, here's Apple, guys. It didn't do all that well. Very strange day yesterday. There was a lot of chop. It was not an easy day for me yesterday, at least. I know there was some opportunities, like for
I'll
example,
second that.
yeah, it was not fun,
There
man.
were there were some people that found some really nice trades, and I was just grinding to get to a decent spot and call it a day. So
Same, my friend. Same. It was not pretty yesterday. Definitely a lot of trading on my part, left and right, just trying to get something going. Just no continuation, just pure chop. You could tell things are not going to look good when Apple looks like this, guys. Just look at the madness on Apple. This was not clean by any means. Yes, now it looks like it was on a very nasty downtrend, but not even. It's just horrible. Disca A, yes, Zach, I agree, was beautiful. Probably was the only one that had this amazing type of continuation. Everything else, at least on my list, did not look like this. And this was a beautiful, beautiful
yep,
drop here on yesterday. I saw a couple of members in our community take advantage of that. So great job there. AMC was just playing games, was playing too many games yesterday. I don't want to say it was expected, but this thing has had a couple of really nice pops. And to get going again, to break above that 1450, it was just a very difficult time to try to get to do that. And we saw that yesterday in the 5 minutes, just struggling big time to get anything going here. Every pop was being just slammed back down, and you got amazing chop. Just look at the 5 minute in here. Look at these candles. Look at these wicks. That is just pure chopness there. Broke out this last night. We'll take a look at that. It is gapping up today. Is really in play one more time. Up 6.3 at a 4.8 million shares traded. So definitely in play. We'll take a look at that in a second. Here's a Mara, another one that again, it was a little bit cleaner than most, but still not great. We had NMD. This one also didn't get a whole lot of volume, guys. It didn't get the action. Great pre-market activity. Normally, you looked at this in the daily as well. Looked good for a possible breakout. Just didn't get it going. And plug as well, guys. Just look at plug. Look at the chop on plug at the market open. They give you a little pop here that gave you some continuation. But how do you trust this after this madness here, right before 10:30? Difficult to take this trade, expecting it to keep going and break out nicely. It did, but a tough one. And that's really the only great move you had. More chop into 11 and 12 right on here, guys. More chop, and then you get this beautiful drop here. But again, just not an easy day yesterday. So, all right, excellent. Let's take a look at what we have as far as the SPY coming up for this Tuesday.
Yeah, well, Jared did a great job of going into that. It was, a little weak yesterday, but nothing too crazy. And gapping up a little bit this morning, 0.5% on the Qs, 0.1% on the SPY. We just had building permits and housing starts come out. Really not a huge, tremendous effect that I see that it's had on the market. We do have former Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, speaking today. I believe it's at the Atlanta Fed or something of that nature. Anyway, I wouldn't usually point this out, but the reason I am, one of the major concerns people have in this market and its ability to continue its momentum upward is inflation. And he has worked under Democratic presidents, both Clinton and, as I mentioned, as Treasury Secretary. Let me slow down and get my words right. And then he also worked under Obama. And he's, talking about all the spending going on currently being a major concern for inflation. So it's not like he's taking some political stance that's, against these guys and speaking. So he might say things in there that move things. Who knows? It's the only reason I point that out. So we'll see how it goes. This gap up we have so far, selling off to a degree. So
we will definitely see how it goes for sure, guys. Here is the SPY at the moment on the 1 minute, on the 5 minute, very, very active. In the 60, sorry, this is the 5. There we go. Very, very active right now. So we'll see where that takes us today. All right, let's take a look at our gappers list this morning. A lot in the green so far, a little bit in the red, as we can see here. Let's remove our watch list from yesterday. Here we go. And we'll make some rows in here and see what we have for today. What's going on here on the gappers list. Leading the way here this morning looks to be AMC, guys. AMC up nicely 6.1. Finally was able to break out of that 1450 we had yesterday. This one right on here again, great area of resistance, and we saw that in yesterday's action. Breaking out nicely today is up of 6%, 5 million shares traded. Norm, this got going late last night after hours. What happens? Anything new specific or just a technical squeeze here?
I think it's a squeeze primarily. This is just, this Wall Street bets and trying to squeeze it again and everything else. I haven't seen anything other specific that's too indicative of what would cause this pop, but maybe somebody else sees it.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, they're on here pretty good this morning. AMC, nicely, very active so far. We'll definitely keep an eye on this one. Next, we have IQ. We haven't seen this one in some time. They're trying to get something going here. Up 5.4 this morning, 467,000 shares traded. And the reason why we haven't seen this on our list, guys, is because it has not been trading very well. So again, I don't know what to expect out of it today. They're seeing some support here at around 1225, over at 1270 or so. And again, a little bit of a pop here. We'll see where it goes. Maybe a possible, guys. I'm not a big fan of it. It hasn't been trading clean by far. Here's Walmart. Walmart is up nicely today, 4.2. Huge
IQ had
pop.
earnings this morning. Walmart had
did?
earnings this morning. Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'll keep IQ. Hopefully that catalyst can get it going here. Here's Walmart, guys. They're up nice, 4.1 on earnings, as Norm just mentioned. So this could be good. Walmart can trade very well when it's on earnings. Sometimes, not usually the best intraday trading stock, and you can see that on their daily overall. Because again, the volume is very light as well. So we'll see. Good pop today. Good pre-market action. Looks like they crushed it, guys. 1 million shares traded right now. So very, very nice. Let's make a little bit of room here so we can see our numbers. There we go. Envis. Now, Envis, this thing had a nice little pop a couple of weeks ago. From there, it's just been chopping around a couple of okay days in here. I like what I'm seeing now here, though. A possible breakout out of this resistance area. We're slightly above it now, but I wish the pre-market would look a little bit better. So just a little bit light right now, only 202,000 shares traded. And we know this one is great when it gets amazing volume. When you see this type of volume, you're going to get these moves that we had in the past with some good intraday trading here. But I got to say, this does look slightly interesting. Maybe we'll put it as a possible. Might not stay there, depending on what else we find here on our list. Next, we have Givo. Givo here. A couple of nice green days here on Friday and yesterday. Possible continuation if it can keep this going. It did that actually with a pretty clean intraday action. Looking at this now, it looks good. Some decent volume, not great, but you did get a nice little a pop here of a couple of ABCD patterns. So maybe continuation today. That'll be a little bit harder to do, as again you have two really nice green days towards the top. You're getting close to an area of resistance. Does it have still more legs in it to keep running like this? We'll have to see. I'm going to throw it as a possible because there might be a chance that this thing it's too extended, might not have the legs to keep going here. Here's Baidu, guys. This one is up 3.2. Also, like many stocks, finding this base over the last couple of days with the spike. The overall market just kind of dropping down here. We're slightly above the area of resistance that we had around 190. Definitely in play. Not one of my favorite stocks, so I am going to put it over as a possible. Baidu can be tricky to trade at times. The price action could be slightly difficult to read. Givo, we have Macy's is on here today. Macy's doing pretty well the last couple of days. They're up 3.3 this morning. Pre-market action looking good. They got great volume. I'm assuming they have earnings this morning because they definitely got going today.
Yeah, they had earnings this morning. There's a bunch of retail earnings coming out, including Macy's.
All right, we'll throw Macy's on here, guys. Let's see what Macy's can do for us today. NKLA on our list this morning. They're up 2.7. Pre-market actions is horrible. This does not look good at all. Let's head down to the daily, see if we have anything exciting. No, I don't like what I'm seeing on NKLA. How did it trade yesterday? Let's take a look here. Yesterday had a nice little pop here at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, at 9:30 at the market open. They give you a nice little pop there. I don't know. I'm on the fence on it, guys. I'm gonna leave it off for now. Their daily does look interesting, though. I'm looking at it closely now. You can see every resistance support. We're slightly above that now. A lot of possibles today. This could look better, hopefully, as a possible. Let's see. TSM is a foreign stock, so usually does not trade very well. We'll stay away from that one. JD is on deck today, and JD is up 2.2 right now at 123,000 shares traded. Not a great pre-market activity. You are getting a little bit of a nice pop here of 68, 69. We'll throw a pass. We'll come back to that one. All right, gapping down. TPGY, excuse me. Big gap down today, 18%. Pre-market action, not great, though. They are showing 280,000 shares traded, but the pre-market action is right now not looking too clean at the moment. Their daily, you can see, taking a huge drop, losing this great level of support right on here on 1375. So that could be interesting. Let's check their flow. 34.9 million shares flow. So let's see. We'll come back to that one. Let's see the pre-market action can get a little bit better. It is a nice big drop today, 18%. We do have shares for short. This could be fun. Their daily looks good from March on. That's a nice daily. Prior to that was very, very nasty, guys. Look at the gaps up and down. It's just not clean at all. So it's a great example of what we don't look for. Here you start seeing some really nice patterns as far as the daily. So that could be interesting. Let's see if it's going to trade well today. Here's T. What did T do yesterday? I took it off my list. How did it actually trade?
Wow. It was okay. Yeah, compared for what T usually does.
This was actually very, very nice. Yeah, compared to what they do. I agree. Looking like Disca A as well. Disca A had the same drop here yesterday. So pretty nice. Hopefully took advantage of that. And they're gapping down 6%. Wow, they're getting just hammered. Well, they gapped up yesterday. They gapped up big yesterday, gave it all back, and now we're going down some more here, 6% this morning on T with a good pre-market action, 6.2 million shares traded. That's more than we had yesterday in the pre-market. So, I'm interested. I'm interested to find out what's going on here with T. All right, SE this morning, they are down 156,000 shares traded. Oh man, this is all over the place as far as the daily. The volume is lighter than usual at 4 million, definitely less than 8 for the most part. That's the most we've seen in the last couple of months. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one, guys. I'm going to skip it for now. Let's go down to coin. What is coin up to? What is coin doing? Continues to, oh man, they're fighting here for a new low, it looks like. Yesterday they created a new low all the way down to what we're looking at, 237. Not looking good at all. Again, difficult stock to trade, guys. Let's see the action last night. I mean, yesterday, huge drop right on here, but just look at this. Look at this drop here. Look at the pullbacks. I mean, this is a nasty, nasty chart, guys, for us to intraday trade. This is the reason why I keep it off my list. But if you are going to trade this, just be very, very careful. The move here can be very aggressive. This is a 5-minute here from 250 all the way down to 242. So just kind of tells you how careful you have to be, how on point your risk management has to be with this stock. So if you're struggling, to kind of build that discipline, you got to be honest with yourself. If you're struggling for that discipline at the moment, this is one you might not want to have on your list this morning. EDU right now, I think we looked at this before and it wasn't great, and it's not looking great now neither. Is it like a Chinese education or something?
Yeah.
We looked at this. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Not great.
So we'll stop there. And then here, Rye. Let's look at Rye and Mara as well. Rye is starting to get going, down 2.7 right now, 429,000 shares traded. Let's take a look at Mara. What is that up to? A little more volume, but they're kind of just hugging around the previous day close at the moment. So I don't think they're really in play right now, guys. They're pushing some volume around, but not really a whole lot going on as far as the daily and the price action in the pre-market. So, Norm, anything you like this morning so far?
I'm still looking, man.
All right, excellent. Let's take a look over at our chat room. We will start with, we're going to start with Green Genie, but we do have AMC. They're flushing. Let's take a look here. Yeah, they're dropping here pretty hard. Let's see if they can hold that 1430, great area of resistance right on here. Let's see if they can hold that in the pre-market. So that's definitely in play, guys. Great volume, almost 7 million there. Heading on down, David from Connecticut, what you're giving us there. Oh, yep, no. Hamish is giving us workhorse today, but daily looks interesting. Volume is non-existent right now, only 34,000 shares traded. But I see what you're looking at. I see it, right? You got a nice little daily resistance here that we can get going. We just need to see that volume come in there. So that could be a good one to look out for the scanners. AMC is good. Uber. Oh, I skipped Andrea Cass. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at X. How did X do yesterday? I didn't have X on my list. It
was active in the morning, but it was choppy. It was good for scalps, and that's about it.
Yeah, I see that. This didn't look all that good as we've seen in the past. But again, a lot of stuff just didn't look great yesterday. It was a tough day. This morning, pre-markets all over the place, very light on the volume. Does not mean that it cannot get better. We're gapping up slightly here, 0.5%. But again, for the most part, I'm not seeing anything great. Their daily does look interesting here. We're right at this area of support and resistance, possible breakout on X. I do like X, and someone asked me why. It's just the way it's been trading. If you go into it, look at this daily. First of all, look how clean this has been, right? If you look at the candles of the daily on the bodies here, they're very wide, right? You're not getting candles where it's just the small body and huge wicks, right? Usually this can indicate some chop happening in the intraday trading. You're not seeing that here. You're seeing a nice, very clean pattern. Holding on to the moving average. Look at us holding on to this a moving average right on here beautifully. So it's respecting averages. It's respecting some of the daily levels as well. So that's why it's been good to see this one on deck, but. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it gets any better. Walmart, Walmart is in play today. 1 million shares traded. Beautiful pre-market action out of Walmart. They're not hitting all-time highs yet, but they did close this gap they had down back in February. So that's a good, decent pop there for them. So that is good. Let's take a look at Facebook and then Oxy. Facebook this morning, not a whole lot going on. I think this will be a good one to kind of keep on the scanners. Right now, they're up slightly 0.5%. 70,000 shares traded only. Their daily looks good. And you're going to see a lot of stocks with this type of daily, right? Gapping up slightly because the market the overall market, but they're not really in play. If the market starts, just tearing it up, then you could just look at anything like Apple, right? You can look at Apple, you can look at companies like this are going to be possibly trading slightly better. Apple, I'm going to add as a possible just to keep it on deck. Right now, their volume is a little bit lighter than we've seen in the past couple of mornings, but it's good to have that one on deck as well. Here is Oxy. Is there any news on as far as oil or anything like that? I mean, they trade well when they have a catalyst behind it. A couple of 2 good days here. For the most part, if they do not, they could just be very, very choppy or just dead, right? Like here, if there's nothing going on, they'll just do this and not do a whole lot. Here, obviously, we got stuff going on. You can see this nice candles build up. But if there's nothing happening, I wouldn't be looking at those just yet. NUE. This one, no volume, guys, right now. And also, when this does get volume, just look how risky this one is, right? You're trading about 4 million shares traded per day, 4 million shares per day, and look at the move, 102 to 96. That's a big move with very light volume. If I go into that intraday, I'm sure it's not going to look pretty, and the price action could be a little funky at times. So that one's not looking good. LUBI. Low flow mover for today. All right, nice. Yeah, it's starting to get going here. 1.3 million, up 32%. This could be our low flow of the day. What's the float on this, by the way? LUBI. All right, let's see here. LUBI. We are looking at 9.8. So 9 million shares flow. Great pre-market action there, especially here after finding this base at 10. Former runner on this. It got a couple of days we ran pretty good here. Yeah, this could be nice. We'll keep this one on deck. That's good. Low flow of the day there, guys. All right, heading on down. ULBI, perfect. Just Paul is giving us FSR this morning. This one, I have a good memories of FSR because we had some pretty good trades. We haven't traded in some time. Right now, pre-market action looks okay, not great. They're up 2.1, 320,000 shares traded. Their daily very similar to what we've been seeing in a lot of stocks, right? A couple of support over the last couple of days is dropping. You're getting to the support area, and you're now seeing a little bit of relief towards the upside. But outside from that, I don't think they're really in play. There's a few that look like this that are sitting here in our possibles list. Where are they? Here's Baidu. Here's one. Again, support here after a couple of days down. They're getting some kind of green light now. Same thing, IQ. I'm just going to leave my notes right on there. IQ is the same. Envis, almost the same thing, right? Longer stretch of consolidation, getting a little pop. And NKLA is a little bit different. JD, same thing, dropping here, a little bit of a consolidation and now a little pop this morning. So you're getting a lot of that, and that's because of the market, right? So I don't think they're really in play, but worth taking a second look at. I agree. There's some other ones here in our possibles list that we can take out of our list and keep FSR. AMC is good. All right, I think we're pretty much good, guys. We're going over some of the same stuff. Plug was just brutal yesterday. Today, this morning, not a whole lot going on, guys. Very light on volume. I like to see Plug with a couple of 100,000 on here. We only have 200,000 less. So not looking good this morning. SPR, William, how much we have on time? All right, we'll stop. This is the last one here. SPRT, no, this is not looking good at all this morning. So again, very choppy. Let's take a look over on our friends on YouTube this morning. What do we have? ULBI, we do have on deck, so that's good. T, yes, I do have AT&T here, guys. It is in play. I'm going to actually move up to AT&T because what we saw yesterday, Norm will tell you that is not usually how AT&T trades. So that's very nice of them. And today their volume is insane, 7.5. So definitely going to keep that one on deck this morning. ULBI is active. Yes, that's the low flow of the day that's on there. We do have Macy's. We'll take a second look at that. Also very active this morning, giving a nice little range here. BGFV. What do we have here? BGFV. Oh, no. No good. No volume, guys. Only literally 612,000. No, I'm so used to saying 1,000. 612 shares traded. So again, no volume. Daily doesn't look great. Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla this morning. They are Tesla. Hold on a second. They're pretty quiet right now. Same thing here, guys. It's kind of getting slammed down, finding that support, and they are not even popping up. They're actually slightly down compared to everything else. So I don't think they're really in play, but it's a good one to keep an eye on, guys. If we start losing some of these levels here and start dropping, that could be very interesting, especially if the market is going the other direction. So let's keep an eye on Tesla. Actually, the SPY is up, right? SPY, we're pretty much flat, but Tesla could be interesting though. They're down 1 point something. That's interesting. What's going on with Neo? Anything going on in that overall EV area? Neo is not doing anything, but Tesla down 1.2. That's good. That's good for us. Let's see. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's go over to our community events. We'll come back and fine tune this list. If we have a little more time towards the end, we could look at some more. But I think today, after the day we had yesterday, we just got to be a little more cautious that we might still get some of this chop even today. So we'll have to see how things play out.
For sure. All right, tonight, 8 p.m., part 2 of Andrew's Welcome to My Trading Room webinar. He's going to go over essentially everything about his trading. So check out part 2. Part 1 is already up and posted. If you missed that, you can go catch up before tonight. Then next week, 8 p.m. on Tuesday, we've got Thor. He's going to be talking about how to manage trading through choppy price action using volume price analysis and ranges. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., mindfulness coach Nada will be talking about letting the storm of emotions pass without drowning you. Very important. Getting emotional in trading can be a death sentence. Then next week, 8 p.m. on Wednesday, Dr. Katz Town Hall will take 2 traders from the community. They'll discuss psychological issues and have a little group therapy session that everybody can sit in on. All right. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day, mark it up. Obviously, you should have entries and exits so we can actually see the trade. And then add any commentary you can to describe it. Tag at Bearable Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll announce the winner each day in the afternoon in the room and on Twitter. And then the team will vote over the weekend for Trade of the Week. That'll be announced on Monday. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the chat, you can use the promo code PREMARKET24. That'll get you a discount off the test drive, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. Does not auto-renew or turn into any other kind of membership. You actively have to go and choose to remain in the community and choose another type of membership. That includes the onboarding and technology classes on Monday nights. And then if you want to become an elite member and get access to all the webinars we discuss, use a promo code Memorial40 to get 40% off the annual elite membership.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Norm. Azam Salomon, you're sending your personal email address on YouTube. It's going to get blocked. I don't think you want to put your personal email address.
Yeah, don't do that.
On YouTube. We have a lot of friends there, but there's 1 or 2 that seem to be knuckleheads sometimes. So don't do that. But if you want to email us, guys, we're all reachable. Carlos@bearbulletraders.com. Send us an email there. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any questions, any feedback for the show, we appreciate that. Send that over to us, and we will definitely take a look at it. But yeah, don't put your personal email address on there. All right, guys, let's take a look at what we have. I'm going to look at Uber. Our buddy and good friend David from Connecticut is pointing this one out this morning. Has an interesting daily. I saw getting above this area of resistance. Volume is actually pretty good. The pre-market is not great, but the volume 715 for Uber at this time. That's actually pretty good with up 2.2. So yeah, let's add this one on here. We'll throw it on there for now. We'll come back to this one. We can do levels on that one. Any news, David, on this, or just overall just movement? All right, excellent. Let's get to it, guys. While we get that information, let's look at AMC. AMC, guys, very, very active this morning. We are dropping down here back to this area of great resistance. We could not break out of this yesterday, and we saw the crazy chop that we had throughout the day yesterday, trying to get above this level. Every time it went up, it just kept getting slammed back down. So we're sitting there right now trying to find some support. Look at the volume increase. What's happening here, guys, right? As you get close to these levels, right? This is clearly on everybody's chart, no matter how you trade, what kind of strategy you're trading, you have this level in place, right? This level obviously has been a level of resistance for the stock for some time, and we have not been here in a while, right? What is it, 2 months or so? Yeah, we haven't. And actually, and last time we were up here, guess what? We struggled to get above this. So as we get closer to this level, you're going to see this volume start increasing, right? Because the battle is happening here, like Thor would say, the battle starts happening between buyers and sellers on who's going to win. Are we going to hold here? Are we going to come back down? Whichever way it goes, there's going to be people that are going to bail if they're in the opposite side of that trade. So you're going to get that nice pop or drop depending on who wins here, right? So that's what we're looking for. So this looks good. That is good for us. We just have to make sure we're looking for all the right signals to be on the right side of this trade. So AMC looks good, guys. We'll keep that one on deck. Here's Walmart. Walmart, very active pre-market action. That is also good. We'll keep that on there. Macy's definitely shocking us today with some amazing pre-market action. So that is good. TPGI. You know what? I like the drop on this, but the pre-market action is not great. And part of this drop really happened last night, guys, right? The action was last night. Right now, we haven't seen much. So concerning on how this thing is going to trade, I'd rather watch like a Tesla today. Tesla does look interesting this morning. I'm going to bring TPGI down. Let's bring that one down. Doesn't belong up here. T, very interesting, guys. Beautiful pre-market action. And it's just shocking. Look at the day yesterday after a beautiful gap up, giving it all back and then some. And then as we mentioned before, now we're down another 6.2. So very nice, very nice. Uber, that's good right now. Daily looks okay. Let's take a look at our secondary list, TPGY. So might not even stay on this list. Tesla looks good, guys. Might even be one that we move up. X is okay as a possible. Baidu, you know, I don't like Baidu, but it is in play. We cannot deny what looks good. This looks good. Baidu, here it is. Baidu looks good right now. It's up 4.2. Looks like it wants to break out of some levels here. Area of support and resistance right on there. We're slamming right up against that. Look at the beautiful consolidation we had down here. Came back up, slammed up against, what is this, 189 or so. We're above that now. Great pre-market action. This is and again, every stock is different, guys. Every stock kind of has its own personality. For example, this pre-market action on a stock like, let's say, I don't know, like an Apple, where you see amazing pre-market action, might not be great. On a stock like Baidu, this is an amazing pre-market action. So, you know, not every stock can be looked at the same. Let's remove it from our secondary list. A great one for this morning. We'll keep it on our top list. Here's X. X is so-so. Gevo starting to get going here. Does it have the legs for another continuation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're packed with 6 tickers already, but Gevo is good. IQ, you know, I'm just going to remove it. IQ, if anybody's watching that, please call it out in the chat if you see something great. Envis, I'm going to remove this one too, guys. I'm just not a big fan of the way it looks right now. NKLA, same thing here. Let's do a tight list today. JD, maybe. JD could be maybe there. Apple, we're definitely watching, at least as a possible. FSR is good. I think it can creep up on us here and get going. So I'll definitely want to be ready for that one on our secondary list. So I think that's pretty good. We can fine tune a little bit more as we get closer to 9:30 in our chat room as well. All right, here's AMC, guys. Let's take a look at some levels. AMC right now, high of the pre-market all the way up to 1575. Let's look towards the left. Last time we were up here, we had this nice little madness going on here, if you guys remember that. Of course you do. Here we have a level at 1710, and then obviously this one here, this is insanely weird candle over at 1989. So let's see, guys, creeping up pretty nice here this morning. Definitely the 1573. A great area right on. You can see here the high. That's the high of the pre-market right now. Couple of about 2 days they're using that as resistance. So, but the big level here, guys, the big battle is happening right here at 1430. As we discussed before, again, great area of resistance a couple of months back. Also, the last three trading days struggling to get above that 1430, and right now we're seeing the volume increase. Let's see how this is going to go. Low of the pre-market slightly below that, but again, don't put too much weight on this 1450. Here's where the action is, just right around this area. Let's see if we're going to get back above that. Below that, guys, previous day close, the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Let's see what happens there. Here's Walmart, guys. Walmart also looking good. Great pre-market action. High of the pre-market, 144.71. Let's go to the top here. Look at that level. Look how great that level is on the daily. If you draw a line right on here, guys, you can see how much support you're getting right around that area. Slightly above that, we do have another level right on here. Great area of support and resistance. Got some resistance here in a couple of days. Great resistance right on over there before this breakout. More resistance and more resistance. So that's good. 146.47 looking right there. And then another one just to have, just be ready here. Another good one, 147.83. Tons of touches on there as well. Resistance mainly. More resistance than support on that 147.83. So we'll see what Walmart does here. Now, towards the bottom, we do have this level here at 142.74. We'll throw a level there. And then below that, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You do not need to add any more there towards the bottom. Let's look at Macy's today. Macy's, nice pop all the way up to 2056. It looks like this thing wants to go red now after being up nicely this morning. Above that, we do have 2108 is the high, the most recent high over here. Below that, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close. And then here, what do we have here? We have a possible level, not a major one, but here 1989. 88, excuse me, that you got a couple of days opening and closing right around there. And actually, if you look at the pre-market action now, you're seeing some of that support play part into this this area here in resistance. So let's see that 1988 looking rather decent there. Then below that, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. But I do want to get some levels in between here because this thing looks like it might not hold the previous day close. And if it doesn't, we want to be ready. So right over here, great level, guys. We got a couple of days opening and closing right around this area, 1870. You got this day here, this one, and these two, and you can even count this one here, slightly above that, but it's very close. All of this creating a great area of support and resistance. If we lose that previous day close and even this low of the pre-market right here at 19, that could be a nice target to get to that 1870. Here's T, guys. T is amazing. Great day yesterday for traders, not for them, obviously. High of the pre-market 30.50. The low of the pre-market down at this morning at a 29.31. So we'll throw a level there as well. If we go over to the left a little bit, you can see T doesn't have the best daily. So we'll do our best to find the best possible levels, right? I don't know how many times I said best in that sentence, but quite a bit. Here, 30 looks decent, right? The whole dollar number is going to be interesting for this one. You can see if you draw a line here, quite a bit of resistance there, a little bit of support and some more support and resistance. So 30.01 could be interesting towards the top here. We do have 30.46 already, which is the high of the pre-market. Now towards the bottom here, guys, I mean, this thing is just crashing down. What do we have below this? 29.31. 29.31. Great level as well, guys. Great level of resistance, and most support happening here. Nice little bounce off of that. Below this, we do have, looks like it's going to be 29 exactly. So this stock likes to hold dollars. 29 exactly. Got another area of support and resistance. Again, not the best daily, guys. So just be mindful of that. When these levels are clearly an area, you might not get to them exactly to the T. Here's Uber. Uber this morning is looking okay. High of the pre-market sitting at 48.85. We'll throw a level there. Towards the bottom, plenty of levels, guys. We do not need to add anything more over here. Towards the top, we do have 49.78. And then right up here, we do have 50.63. So great volume right now. Not the best pre-market action. Let's make sure this thing gets better, or else we can look down here and replace it with something else. But we'll see how it develops here. Baidu, guys, definitely in play. High of the pre-market, 197.45. We'll throw a level there. And then slightly above that, we do have right over here, not a major level of support and resistance. Is 199.55. Another one up here as well, 203. Again, these don't have a lot of touches on here. They're just kind of climbing up a little bit. If you go more back, maybe a couple of more touches here, just reconfirming some of these levels. But it's not going to be a level like this one, right? This one here, that's a nice level, that 208.40. Just look how many touches you have on that. So the support that you had here for a span of a couple of days and then actually bounced off of that. So that 208 is a major area of when it comes to support that can now become resistance. Towards the bottom, guys, highs and low from the last 2 trading days after a beautiful consolidation over the span of 5-6 days here, breaking out nicely. Let's see if this thing can get going towards the top. Looking very good this morning. All right, as possible, let's do a quick run through here. TPGI, we still have here, they're down 17%, but pre-market action still not looking great. Here is Tesla. They're down 1.2 right now. But again, it looks interesting. It looks interesting. Tesla has been consolidating here. They're slamming against the bottom of this consolidation. This could be a whole lot of fun if we start losing some of these levels. We haven't lost this level since March. And when we did, we went all the way down to 541.69. And have we been lower? Yeah, now we're going into last year, right? Before we had this insane run up on Tesla. So now we're getting into some very interesting levels on Tesla, guys. Definitely going to keep an eye on this one very closely this morning. Here's X. I'm going to remove X. It doesn't look great today. Jibo starting to get going here, so that's good. We'll keep that one. JD, no. Gonna get rid of JD. Gonna definitely keep Apple and gonna keep FSR. I think these two are looking good. And our low flow of the day, ULBI, really pushing up here up 31%, 2.1 million shares traded. Let's see where that ends up today. Again, low flow stock, guys, at 9 million shares flow. Please be very, 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 very careful on that one. All right, excellent. Let's see what our moderators lineup looks like today. All right, let's bring our visuals in here. What do we have? Okay, excellent. Here we go. So let's bring that in, resize that a little bit, make it look pretty for you guys. And it got messed up again. We'll fix it one more time. There we go. All right, so Thor, he is watching Disney, AT&T, very, very active. Walmart, very, very active as well. And Macy's, all of them looking really good this morning. We haven't looked at Disney. We'll have to check that one out. Secondary list, CCL, NCLH, Peter, IPO for today, JZXN, ZPARU, and MCAEU. Can the tickers be any more longer? Tiffany's looking at T, Walmart, secondary list, AMC, Tesla, and Baidu, all in really good in action this morning, all in play. Mike is looking at Walmart and Baidu. Dima is looking at Apple, Neo, Mara, and JD. Jared is watching Thor's list, AMC, and Baidu in addition to that. Peter is looking at Macy's, AT&T, Walmart, secondary list, AMD, Baidu, and Apple this morning. So pretty nice list so far, guys. Again, a lot is looking very good this morning. Very, very active. Here is, let me remove this. What did I do? There we go. Here is Brian with his list. So Brian is bringing in Baidu, HD, AMC, and Agen this morning. So let's take a look at a few of these. We have a little bit of time, 3 minutes left. Let's take a look at a few of the ones that are the moderators are watching. I saw Thor. Let's start with him. He had Disney on his list. We'll take a look at that one. The daily looks interesting. Pre-market action, not so much. Reminds me a little bit of what we're seeing with Uber as well. Interesting daily here, but not so great pre-market action right now. But that could turn into something. He's also watching the cruise line, CCL and NCLH. CCL, interesting couple of days here. Possible breakout. That is nice. Let's take a look. I saw some other ones here. Who do we have? We had Neo. Dima is looking at Neo. Let's take a look at Neo here. Neo pretty quiet right now, but I think Tesla is interesting today, guys. So definitely eyes on Tesla. JD we looked at, so that's good. And then Brian is looking at HD, Home Depot. Home Depot did get some action here, 308, maybe earnings probably, because they don't move a whole lot. Who knows? And then also Agen. What's Agen? Is that a low flow? Not a low flow, but definitely lower price and getting some good action right now. So yeah, so Agen very active, up 34% with 2.1 million shares traded. It's not a low flow stock, but it is definitely on the move this morning. So Brian will be looking at that one closely. So all right, excellent, guys. That is what we have so far. 9:13 a.m. Eastern time. So thank you so much over on YouTube and TradingView for joining us this morning. We highly appreciate it. And as usual, guys, if you're first time over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We really appreciate it. And also hit that thumbs up. It does mean a lot to us here on the channel to be able to grow our YouTube presence. So highly appreciate that. With that said, guys, we're going to continue into our chat room. Brian is up next. Andrew is up next. They'll be trading live once the bell goes off. If they are not already trading pre-market, I know Brian sometimes gets into a couple of things there in the pre-market. We'll find out very shortly. And we'll see you guys tonight. Tonight is success webinar number 2 from Come Into My Trading Room from Andrew. So if you missed part 1 last week, it is up on the webinar on the Education Center. You can catch that webinar. So make sure you catch that today. So you're up to date for tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time for this webinar part 2. So take care, guys, on YouTube and TradingView. See you guys tomorrow or tonight for the success webinar. Take care, guys.